How you doing, everybody? Um, Today I thought it'd be fun. This afternoon I thought it'd be fun, or I guess some places tonight. It'd be fun to talk about some of the newer and very affordable uh, watchmakers or watch companies that are creating really fun watches. Hey, neighbor, how you doing? Brian, good to see you. Oh, good. Sound, everything's working good. That's great. We talk about this is, I tell you, if there was ever weather that was considered moody, it'd be what we have right now in New England. Just moody. Hey, Michael, how you doing? Oh, good. Thanks. Hi, Junior. Uh, we and my wife and I just been taking it easy and watching TV. I went out for a walk and there were mosquitoes, so nothing to do. Anyway, the other day, Allie and I had a talk with the guy who's, in fact, two guys from Underdog, and they're a very interesting group of watchmakers. And my friend Fernando ordered one. I think the one he ordered was called Guacamole, using the different colors and stuff. And one of the things that I noticed is that it seems that they have a step. They started with using a seagull movement from China, and then they moved up to a Salida 201, I think, or 200, and then they moved up to the 300, which is Salida 300, which is a pretty good movement. So it's sort of an interesting thing to watch, and their watches are very affordable. And some of the other companies that I guess I could best express them as fun. Gorilla watches are they have the wandering hours. They're interesting. They have some deal, I guess, they had with Vauchour to make the wandering hours, and then the movement behind that was either an ETA or a Salida. Hi, Lord Enoch. A little off topic, okay. uh, but bought the Lone Jeans 925 Sterling case movement and case serial during dating 1923. Paid $550. Now if that ain't a bargain, I don't know what is. Well, I'll tell you about my $200 brand new Chinese, the one I got from Hong Kong. No, that does sound like I don't know what the 925 is, but the sterling silver case, that is nice. That's one of the things I've wondered why, you have gold, you have platinum, but rarely do you hear about a silver case. I'm sort of curious as why silver cases aren't used. Anybody have any idea on that? Hi, Caesar. New and fun and affordable. Nothing beats Urban Jurgensen. No, they don't. Hi, Von Gruel. How you doing? Yeah, yeah. Oh, there's another one. I had a picture of a couple different watches on the introductory banner. One was from it's called Pink Lemonade from Underdog, and the other one starts with a B. Let me see if I can read the name of it. It's one of these names that is a little more uh, Beau Blue, I think. Beau Blue. They have these big sort of circles for hands. So they're a lot of fun. All of these, the best things about these is that they're fairly affordable. Okay, Brian, yeah, so am I. I wonder where that's going though. You have, um, this may be something I think that's very similar to what Christopher Ward did. Christopher Ward started off with ETAs and Solitas, and then they came out with the SH21, I think was the name for it. And the SH21 was sort of seems to have been, I think they got one watch left that they're still using that with. And then they did the Bel Canto, and then they did this latest one that they have. I keep forgetting the name of it. It's like C12 or something, but they have another sort of sub name for it. And they sort of have been doing that. They've been sort of growing along with that. Now, at some point, there's you sort of hit a place that is sort of rough, and that's making your own movements. But when you start doing that, the price starts going up. And so what I'm wondering is how do you sustain an affordable watch that's fun? And I I was looking at the watches that were in the what they call, I guess, the challenge category, the ones that had who were the competitive watches in 2024, and there were a couple that I liked, um, but most of them were pretty boring. Some were interesting. There was this one that's sort of a diamond shape. There was another one that had a at the up at 12 o'clock. It had a little jumping hour, and they had some interesting ones like that. And all of them, everything in the challenge category is under what it's under 3,500 or something like that, and a lot of them are a lot less than that. And I guess the interesting thing, how much interesting thing can you do that doesn't involve the movement? Um, and having in the middle of right now working on with Larique, we're working on a watch with double retrogrades. We haven't done that before. We ran into trouble with um, the something else, primarily the Guy shape. Hey, Mark, how you doing? Baltic, that's another one. Michael, yeah, that's another one. Damon, I'm not sure how Gucci has come out with some of their first in-house caliber, the 25H. Now, so do you know if the one by Gucci is made by La Fabrique du Temps, which is of LVMH's in-house sort of movement guys? Um, Gucci watches, see, Gucci has come a long way. They came out a number of years ago with one I think that had I think it was an in-house movement. I'm not sure, but it was an interesting watch with all their bees all over it. I don't know what the deal is with Gucci and bees, but I guess there's something there to it. Um, I don't know. Mark J, what do you think? What's going on? Uh, Chanel bought 25% of your favorite company, Mark. So your next one is Chanel. Yeah, Baltic is a good example. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Caesar, yeah, you can adopt a lot of us if that's cheap. Let me just sort of, again, I don't mean to be too off the mark here, but let me show you guys. Earlier today, somebody had brought up a watch company. It's called somebody Claes or something like that. And so I thought I'd take a look at their movement. And it is spectacular. Let me just show you what I'm talking about real quick. And this is again, this comes under hope for the future. Uh, This is by, I guess, somebody, they have a Claeys, and they have a first name too. Oh, there it is. Kalichi Claes. Why can't they be something Caesar, something simple like Caesar or Caesar watches? Um, but I was looking at this watch, and my God, I tell you, it's just beautiful. And one of the things that always I find great was that they had this a very simple something I could do with a toothpick, and in terms of adjustment was is the regulator. They just have the needle for the regulator sticking out there, and you can move it one way or the other. I don't, unless there's some other kind of element that moves it for you. They've got those that up at around 10 o'clock, between 10 and 11 o'clock, off of the balance, the center of the balance wheel. There's these two screws that may move it one way or the other, sort of something like Jean-Marc Vitorec's Azenpit. But I looked at this movement, then I looked at the specs on it, 18,000 semi-oscillations per hour. What a beautiful movement. The base price of this, of their cheapest one, they have three and they all sold out. But their cheapest one, I think, was 24,900, something like that, 25,000 euro, I think. So, I mean, this is like, the same old story. Here you have this wonderful movement, and but they only made like 8 or 10 of them per each one. I mean, and they're really wonderful watches, but you know, so anyway, I thought that that was somebody had mentioned that this morning, and somebody else in one of the comments had mentioned a company to me, and I'd seen the guys. I sort of, it's one of those things, you're looking at a bunch of stuff and you see this and say, hey, that looks interesting. Certainly was. Peacock's crazy tourbillon diver looks fun to me. Von Krul, Peacock's stuff is very, very nice. They're sort of, I swear, they have a similar quality, and both in terms of the way they look and everything else, as Grand Seiko, um, and the prices are a lot better. I saw a chronogate complication recently. It looked fun. A chronogate? I wonder what that is. Where abacus for the hours. Oh yeah, that does sound interesting. That sounds like a lot of fun. That's the one, Michael. The C12 Loco. That's the new one from yeah, from Christopher Ward, that's another one that they've sort of upped their game on their movement. So this is the ideal right now. If you're going to have an inexpensive one, rather than just putting together a off-the-shelf case dial movement in hands, is that you do something really creative with it. And this is why I like Underdog. They're doing something creative, and they've done some things, some collaborations, and the collaborations, I think, have done more for the people I collaborated with. I love the looks of that H. Moser um, collab they did with Underdog, but no one's going to pay what $60,000 to get to get the Underdog. They put them together. That was sort of a crazy thing, but boy, I tell you, it certainly upped the game of it, and Underdog is doing quite well. So it's good to see that. So there's I think there's a good market now. Here's the I suppose the issue. If you look at Bremont, this was very geared toward aviation in a lot of ways, and they came up the case that they made. They put all of their efforts into the really this fantastic case that Bremont has. And but they kept going down and down. They finally sold it. So I don't know what the new owner is doing. That one time they had come out and they said, "Well, we got an in-house movement now." Roger Smith got a hold of them and said, "No, you don't," and wrote a big article about what an in-house movement is. And thinking, "Gee whiz, there's, you know, there there's so many movements that are nothing but paint jobs on an ETA that it doesn't count." And I think anybody who really understands anything about horology can see that. On the other hand, there are ones that are like the one that Kalitsky or whatever that name is that I just showed you. My God, that you can tell that thing is really gorgeous. Some people put a lot of emphasis on finishing, and I think some finishing is vital, but to what extent you're worried about finishing, like versus the horology underneath it. I don't know. Hey, Rick B, how you doing? For a German watch, you can really see a great deal of the works. Yeah, you can. That's very true. The Gucci caliber is developed and produced by Gucci's parent company, Kering. Oh, Kering sold them though. Sold. I think Gucci is now owned by. I could be wrong about this, Damon, but I thought that Gucci is now owned by LVMH because Kering got rid of who was it? Um, uh, Urban Jurgensen, I think, and one other. Um, Forgot what the other one was, but I thought they were sort of divesting themselves of watches. And Kering is done in La Chaux de Fonds. Hey, Abdul, Washington football fan. It seems that you have to accept Silicon Air Springs to enjoy affordable prices. None of the ones I just talked about had silicon hair springs, Washington. I think, I mean, people who really love Patek Philippe's and for good reason, now they got to put up with that sort of like they got to put up with that. Maybe they'll put in plastic uh, bridges and plates and things. Harboring 2, Paul, yeah. Hi, Harboring 2. I agree. Harboring 2 is one for everyone, but I don't see them as being frivolous in terms, not frivolous, I guess that's the wrong word, but sort of having fun with it, making something that's really like different for fun purposes. I can't, but they have some horology that's very fun. What's that thing called? The Floridor, the old second hand. Those things are wild. Hey, Tuna, how you doing? Uh, oh, 59,000 for the Moser, 500 for the Underdog. I didn't think you could get them separately. Maybe you can now. Okay, what are some other affordable ones? Hey, Bill A, how you doing? Guga says Kering still owns Gucci. Okay, thanks. They had divested of Girard. I think it was Girard-Perregaux, and as well as Urban Jurgensen, and now Urban Jurgensen and Girard-Perregaux are owned by this other little company that the managers of the two movements sort of got together on. Candy and GP tomorrow. Well, Indy car race will be a big racing. Okay. Yeah, Abdul, I know he went to the Formula One. Hey, by the way, speaking of Formula Ones, there's a big. Isn't that H Moser? Didn't they just come out with a couple of Formula One type ones? I was looking at them today, and they look like they have two types: one for the driver, one for the mechanic. And the one for the mechanic, they put in that digital thing at the bottom that I think is sort of a hybrid between the top part is mechanical and the bottom part is I don't know what. With some kind of electronic, I think. That's sort of an interesting combination. Hey, Tuna, Gucci is such a huge fashion brand. Yeah, the watch side must only be a small part of it. Yeah, it is. It's a very small part. I think what happened though, they didn't get into these fashion brands are just they're so rich that they didn't get into the watchmaking part because it was fun. All right. They got plans to make a lot of money. And one of the ways that at least Chanel went about it, and same with Hermes, is they went and they bought into or uh, uh, Hermes buying into Vasseur, Chanel buying their own watch company. And then they bought into both FP Journe and Romain Gautier as well as MB&F. I mean, and then there's some other kind of factory I think they own that they got. So, one of these companies, what I would like to see is something like the Chanel has with the J12, the J12 with the Tudor movement, and come up with something more affordable. But one of the things this is the mindset I think that a lot of them have says, well, if we offer them, even though it doesn't cost us much, if we offer them cheaper, it'll make the brand look cheap, and that's unfortunate. Um, my God, some of these things you just get a bauble of something and it's cost a fortune from certain companies, even though the other ones. I'll tell you something to do if you're ever in New York. Go to Van Cleef and Arpels or Tiffany's and go to the jewelry section. Get your wife some little bauble of some sort and those little baubles will cost you. I don't think they have anything under $200 or $300, and Van Cleef and Arpels under 1,000. And then go over to the Diamond District on 47th Street, and you can find the same quality of jewelry for a lot better price. It just doesn't have the brand name on it. So there. And by the way, never worry about getting mugged on 47th Street. It seems that this is 47th between 6th and 5th Avenue, that hunk of it's the Diamond District. It seems that every other person standing there is an undercover guy who will break your arm if you even think about pulling something. It's very safe. Okusa low tech. Von Krul, yeah, this is the Japanese guy that had that. He had sort of the design wise, it sort of almost little not simple, but artistically functional. I'll put it that way. But it is interesting what he does with the horology inside of that. Now, I think that's why I won the 2024 award for the Challenger. H. Moser sponsors Alpine, right? Yeah, didn't they? I think they may have picked up something with F1 too. I could be wrong about that. Hey, Allie, there's a guy. That's we were talking to him the other day. I like Serica. Serena? Yeah, me too. Yes, yeah. Michael, okay, IWC going big with, being a sponsor for, the F1 movie. I wanna see that movie, yeah. That does sound good. Hi, Andre, how you doing? I read that, Chanel, watches is 2% of their earnings. Yeah, it's not a lot, but I think they're making moves. I think the problem that they've run into that I think one of the problems was that Apple Watch has hit so much of the female watch market. Here are these great big old watches, and they have all kinds of stuff you can do fashion-wise with them. And so you can say, okay, I'm wearing a pink dress with polka dots, and the old watch will come up with a pink dress or pink and polka dot or something. But I think that would be a tough nut to crack because it has all kinds of other information on the watches, including phone. My wife has got one that, she's got all these other great watches, and the one she has is the Apple Watch that she uses all the time. So I think women's watches, I think, have always been sort of a tough nut to crack. Beauvais has some wonderful women's watches. So does Maritz Grossman. Hi, Paul. Mr. Jones. Yes, Paul. Paul W. Thank you, Paul. Yes, Mr. Jones has some of the most fantastic watches. Fiona, God, yeah, Fiona K. What's her name? Fiona Kruger, something like that. She also has some really wonderful watches. But the thing that's wonderful about her watches, she's got some Agenor movements in them. And what's the name of her watch? She has this one that's called it just means chaos. She could have named it chaos. Very unusual looking watch, but yeah. Mr. Jones is a trip. I really like his stuff. And you're right, they're inexpensive watches. This is the thing is I think the trick is how to make them fun, inexpensive without looking cheap. And I think a couple of them have done a good job of that. The Underdog, I love the way they all of the O's they spell with a zero. Um, They do a good job on that. Uh, some other ones. Okay, Karen just completed the sale of Girard-Perregaux and Ulysses. Yeah, that's the one, Brian. I was locked up in my head somewhere. Yeah, a lot of stuff was locked up in there. I can't get it out. Uh, oh boy. Okay, Ali, let's see. Ahsoka Low-Tech are great. I don't know, I'm not familiar with that brand. Well, and Cruel, I wonder if a fella could work with someone they trust in Japan and get one that way. I don't know. Tuna, strangely enough, Braemont have also done a jump hour. Yeah, I don't know what Braemont's gonna do now because, the guy English, forgot his Nick English. He and his brother, there's a real amazing story behind that. I think it was Nick and his father were in an airplane crash, and the father died, and but Nick and his brother kept flying. They do a lot of of flying, and forgot where Braemont came from. It was somewhat what related to some place they went or something like that. But see, to me, I I'm surprised that Braemont didn't do better, to tell you the truth. They're the big thing, I think, that held them back, I don't think it was I like the design of the watches, but I don't think they were cheap enough, and they spent all the money on the case. I'm not positive about that, but, there's always other factors that we never know about. Grandeur, is a tell us about, grandeur, Abdul. Their affordable crazy hours, complications. Cool. Nubo watches has an automatic Space Invaders. Yeah, I've seen those watches, but are the Space Invaders watches, I'm talking just about mechanical watches. There's all kinds of things with, smartwatches and even with, quartz watches. They have all kinds of digital jumping and dancings on it and stuff. Doggone it. My time is up already. I can't believe it. I started on time too, otherwise I so anyway, I just wanted to bring this up because it's something we really haven't talked about, and I think having something affordable at some level is going to be important for people getting, people other than fanatics like us getting into watch collection. So anyway, Graham is not a new company, but have decent movements. Does Graham really? I don't know. Squall, the double barrel automatic for 299. Wow. There's a lot of things out there. But anyway, thought I'd take a look at that, get some of your ideas and so forth. At tea time for Michael. Take care, guys.